everyone, welcome back to another video of Telplay. This is Armea and together with Bazzar. So in this video, we are gonna talk about Conan Exile if it's good to play this 2023. So if you are interested in Conan Exile and you wanna know more, stick around with us because we are gonna give our thoughts about the game and what we think about the game. But before anything else, we would like to let you know that we have a Discord giveaway that is happening right now and it's in 2 weeks time. So you have enough time because in 2 weeks, which is February 1st, we will find out the winner. So if you want to join in our giveaway, make sure to join in our Discord because it's for members only and we cannot wait to have you guys there. So I want to break down the whole giveaway. We are giving away Yakuza Like a Dragon and as well £50 worth of gift card, which is about $60. So if you wanted to be part of this giveaway, make sure to join in our Discord. It's gonna be in the description down below, so make sure to check it out. Or just simply you wanna hang out with us, we have some really cool members over there and we would really love to have you there. So let's not waste any more time and let's get started.
So what exactly is Conan Exile? Conan Exile is a survival multiplayer and single player, depending on your choice, where you have to survive in the vast and beautiful world of Conan the Barbarian. Personally, I have heard little or I've had little interest in this whole world, but once I started going into the game and exploring the world, I fell in love with it. Honestly, the game contains all the elements of a pure survival game where you build, craft, farm, level up and try to improve your tools, as well fight enemies along the way. What makes this game also interesting is the fact that you are able to look after NPCs, which are called Thralls in this game, as well as pets and mounts that you can use in combat or in order for you to get from point A to point B. Besides this, what is really interesting is the fact that the game offers you the capability to build a base however you like, wherever you like, and the whole gathering of the game is really interesting and it blends well with the world itself, which was created in the Unreal Engine 4. And even if this game may look a little bit outdated if you're looking at some elements, I do think that it still holds up very well. Since this game came out in 2018, the game was developed by Fancon and they are the owner of the IP. They have been creating other games that were related to the Conan universe. So if you're interested or you have been a fan of the franchise, you better check them out.
So when it comes to character customization, there's really not much to it. As you see in the video, there's enough for you to customize your character, to add some uniqueness to your character, but it's not too deep as you see in other video games that you can actually manipulate the entire eyes or body shape of your character. But there's enough choices for you to play around for your character. Although I do want to mention that when it comes to hairstyle, there's really not much. Maybe it's just like 10 hairstyle that is available over there. I'm not really sure, but some of the hairstyle are okay. But of course, there are some mods that you can use and get some really cool hairstyle and as well supported by the game. And other than that, you can simply download the mods from Steam Workshop. It's easy to access all of those. So that's all there is to it in this when it comes to character customization. But I do want to mention that what you see here in the character customization, that's exactly you will look like in the game. So that's a plus in this game because very few games that are out there that they look really good in the character customization, but once you get into the game, your character looks like, I don't know, looks like that you feel like you want to retake the whole customization for your character. Another thing that I do want to mention is that you can choose the voice for your character and also you can manipulate the height of your character, which is really a good thing.
I described a little bit about the game itself, but let's talk about the gameplay itself. As I've said, this game is a survival game and its main focus is to get from the Stone Age to the Golden Age or whatever you want to call it. So the game offers you the ability to craft your own items. You start with pickaxe, you have a hammer that you can use to actually build, you can use an axe to cut down trees, you can use a scythe to cut down bushes that you can use for different kind of ingredients, and each element that you interact with serves a purpose, such as if you're actually gathering stone, you will also need to gather wood in order for you to make blocks that they can be used for crafting walls and other elements, because they support each other in such a way that other games that I played in this genre aren't actually doing. For example, and I will give like Minecraft, which everybody knows by this point. Minecraft allows you to actually build a house made of mud if you choose to do so without actually worrying about combining elements, while this game offers a much more complex structure where you really need one or two or even three other elements in order for you to craft something or build something that you want in the game. And the more complex the game becomes and the more buildings you unlock and the more blueprints and other elements such as that, the more resources you will need, the more crafting you will require, and so yeah, it's getting more complex as you progress throughout the game. But there's a few elements that we also want to talk about which we found really interesting, such as crafting benches, furnace, and with the introduction of the newest update, the Age of Sorcery, you are able to craft potions and other magical things such as using abilities with your staff and so much more that we didn't even get into because the game opens up so much more as you progress. We're currently around 50 to 60 hours in the game, but honestly the game really offers a lot when it comes to content and the things that you can do, and the world is gigantic. The world is divided in a couple of sections. They all are having their different levels and the difficulty of the monsters and the enemies that you encounter over there. The starting area, which is very much like an Egyptian looking theme, and then you have the desert looking theme. You also have the mountainside theme where there's snow and there's pine trees and stuff like that. And as well, you have the eastern side, which is much more oriented towards the style of a temperate climate. You also have a jungle area, which is themed more towards a different kind of nation. So it's super cool, and I think that wherever you're actually located and wherever you're going, you're gonna find something interesting to look at, and you're also gonna want to relocate in that location. As I said, you have the capability of building pretty much anything. So from starting from a stone house to a castle to whatever your heart's desire. We started closely to the middle, but in the southern part, but as we progress, we notice that the game opens up much more, and it's best to not attach yourself to a particular location until later on into the game, where you can decide if you want to stay in that location or you want to move somewhere else.
So in Conan Exile, if you want to explore more the game, you basically need to level up, because you have two things that you need to know in order for you to actually explore the world of Conan Exile. So every time you level up, you will have your knowledge and your attributes. So every time you level up your character, you will gain some points that you can use either on attributes or knowledge. So let's talk about knowledge first. So in knowledge, over here, you will learn all sorts of stuff that you can use to actually build your base, or stuff like workbench, furnace, grinder, anything you can use to build your base, and as well to craft your weapons and armors and other stuff such as potions. That is from the expansion, which is called the Age of Sorcery. There is a lot of things that you can learn from the knowledge section, so I really urge you that from the beginning of your game, make sure to really choose wisely what you really plan to get, because the level cap in this game is level 60, and after that, you will have some problem in gaining some points. But of course, there are some other ways to get it, and you can get it as you explore the world, which is called the Fragment of Power. Personally, we haven't seen it yet. We haven't gotten any Fragment of Power because we are still leveling up in the game. But other than that, just in case you made a mistake when it comes to choosing some blueprints or knowledge in your knowledge section, you can just simply drink some potions, which will reset your knowledge points and as well your attributes attributes. There's a lot of ways you can do that. So you don't have to worry about it because the game really gives you some options just in case you made a mistake, just like I did in the game. But I do want to warn you that there are some bugs and glitches in the game, which we're gonna talk about this later on in this video. Now let's talk about the attributes for your character. As I've mentioned earlier, as you level up, you gain these points and you can pretty much scatter your points and place those points in whatever playstyle you want to play as. So basically in your attributes, you have your strength, vitality, authority, grit, and expertise. Also, I do want to mention before I explain to you what attributes is, in this game you have your weight. So basically, of course, if you're overcumbered, your character walks slower, you cannot really run. So when it comes to attributes, strength, that's where it leads to your weight, how much you can carry, it will add up there. So vitality, you know how it is, you know what it does. And the authority, I do want to mention, when it comes to the authority, that's where, because you can have a companion in the game, they called it Thralls. When it comes to authority, you help your Thralls to survive more when it comes to combat. It's very, very helpful. And anyway, once you get in the game, the game basically explains to you what it does and what's in it in those attributes once you added points to it. So that's it for knowledge and attributes. In Conan Exile, I can say that the combat in this game is pretty good, honestly, and this is one of the reasons why I even tried out this game, because when I first saw it, I was in love in the combat itself. Even if you can attack with your bare hands, you can actually have a combo in this game. Although in Conan Exile, the combo here is very simple. Like for example, if you're using a dagger, the dagger has some special movement, like if you press control, you will be able to dodge. Although you can dodge by using alt, but the special movement for the dagger is that you will be able to dodge backwards. And another example for this is gauntlets. Gauntlets has different special movement, like if you press control, you will have this special attack that you will be able to use it to fight your enemies. And at the same time, you have some light and heavy attacks in this game, which you will be able to use and create your own combo, and with this combo you will have some added damage to your enemies. I also want to add that when it comes to combat, you also have your attributes in which you will be able to choose what sort of playstyle you want to have, and besides that, there is a ton of weapons that you can use to fight your enemies, and it really depends on you what kind of playstyle you want to play as. And I can say that all of the attacks of different kind of weapons, it's really good, and I'm pretty sure there is some things that you will really love, but I encourage you to try out different kind of weapons because that's the fun in this game, to experiment. Now let us talk about your companions, or we love to call it Thralls since that's how it's called in the game, plus the workers, which we're gonna talk about, and as well the mounts.
So as we said, we also have thralls, companions, and mounts and pets. So we're gonna go with thralls. Thralls are actually acting out as your companions, and they aid you in combat and also in carrying out items that you don't want to carry because you need space and you don't want to be overcumbered. These thralls come in different shapes and forms depending on their gender and where exactly you're actually getting them from. In the newest expansion, the Age of Sorcery, you also get these caravans that you follow up with quests where you have to slay these sorcerers and gather up their skulls and donate them to their shrine, and you receive a currency that you can transform it into a couple of things like the items or the thralls itself. And these thralls comes in different shapes and strengths. Some of them are archers, some of them are melee fighters, so it's up to you to choose which ones do you want and spend your currency for them. They're pretty resistant, but you have to coordinate them if you're planning to fight a challenging boss that is capable of hitting you once or twice, and that's pretty much it. They're very good for aggroing, and they're pretty much strong and can sponge and take a lot of damage, and they can tank for you if you want to, and they can last for a couple of seconds seconds, maybe even minutes, depending on the strength of the enemy that you're fighting, and they're very reliable if you know how to use your commands pretty well. It's very important that you don't make the same mistake as I did. Armea is much better when it comes to coordinating the companions, so you gotta be very careful to not go blindlessly into fights that you know very well you cannot win. Even if you're not the one taking the damage, you have to be very careful what kind of fights you put up to, and if you feel like your Thrall is actually dying, it's much better to actually run away to safety. Then again, you also have another type of companion, which are the pets. These are actual animals that you find in the world, such as wolves, lions, jaguars, giant turtles, hyenas, and so much more that we haven't discovered. They are much more weaker when it comes to their resistances, but it's really cool to have such a companion that you can look after and they look after you. Some of them are able to carry a lot more, like an elephant. They have a lot of storage capacity, so you can use them to pick up a lot of resources like stone, which weighs quite a lot, or wood, or anything that you pick along the way, while you're having a Thrall to actually help you in combat. Now what's really cool is that you're able to play in a co-op mode, so you can have a couple of people joining you and they have their own Thralls, and you can pretty much build a small army that you can destroy bases if you actually want to. This game can be played in PvE and PvP, and this game also has a mode called PvEC, which means that the buildings that you're actually holding, they do not collapse over time. This especially works when you're playing solo or co-op, so keep in mind of the game modes that you're actually going forward. But of course, if you're playing online, you will have a decay for your buildings. In case, for example, you are gonna go on a server, you're gonna play over there, after a while your buildings will be destroyed because the server itself will try to stay as fresh as possible for new players to come in and not find abandoned buildings. But that's something else that we can actually discuss, because we haven't actually played the multiplayer where you can go to a PvE or PvP with others. But if you want to do that, you are free to actually do so. Also, aside from the pets, you also have mounts that you can use to travel from point A to point B. Of course, the map is quite large and you definitely need a horse or a rhino, which were introduced in the age of sorcery. So that leaves to one more element that makes this game pretty interesting, is the workers. So the workers act as Thralls. They can be captured throughout the world by simply using the truncheon, which act as a way to knock out unconsciously the enemy that you want, to actually make them as workers, or if prefer, as fighters. There are different types of enemies that you encounter and they have their own specialty, so you have to pay attention which ones you actually need in your base. Some of them might be blacksmiths, tailors, craftsmen, sorcerers, and so forth. So it's up to you to find them in the world. Do pay attention to the locations itself, so you have to make your diligent work to find out where are they located and their level. Do keep in mind that each kind of worker have a different kind of level, so higher tier obviously help you out much more quicker to produce the items that you actually need and be able to produce the things that you need a lot better. Now, the point of having so many companions and workers in your base is to actually keep your base well defended. Why do you need to defend your base? Is simply because at some point in time you will have a cooldown for the purge, which acts as a wave of enemies that will come and try to destroy your base, to kill everything that you have there, so your units will help you to defend that. Now, if you're playing on a multiplayer server, you're definitely gonna have a lot of trials and errors, because it is much more difficult over there. While everything is in real time, the purge itself has a long cooldown, but still you're gonna be able to have it even if you're not playing the game. You're gonna have to be more careful. But if you're playing a single player or a co-op with some of your friends, as we did, you're not gonna have a problem for that cooldown to actually go quickly, and your base is gonna be attacked while you're asleep. Everything that happens in the game happens in the time that you spend in the game, so any kind of cooldowns, any kind of building, crafting, or anything of a sort will be taking time while the game is actually open. If you're not at your computer, the game is not on, nothing actually works. So you gotta be paying attention to that and look after those things. Also, this wouldn't be a survival if you wouldn't have this important elements: hunger, thirst, and temperature. Each one acts as a survival, so you have to maintain and look after it as best as you can. In order for you to have a good level of thirst, you have to carry with you a water skin or other liquids that you can actually drink. Alcohol as well plays a good role in keeping you hydrated, but in the same time it will increase your temperature. So if you're going into places like in the north where it's really cold, it's very important that you dress adequate and you drink alcohol, which is pretty cool. Then there's the food itself, which you have to maintain as best as you can, eating any kinds of food that you find in the world. You have berries, you have insects, you have meat as well. Later on into the game you will be farming, so if you're gonna look after the farm, you're gonna have as well food from there. So you have to pay attention to those levels and also carry food with you. But keep in mind that if you are actually hunting animals and then obviously getting their resources, you will get fresh meat, so you're gonna have to consider cooking it in order for you to consume it without getting food poison. Food poison actually affects your stamina, so if you're trying to run a lot more, you won't be able to because you had food poison, which act as a debuff to reduce your stamina. Temperature, as I said, acts as well, and it's very important. If it's too hot, if you're going in a desert area, the water levels are gonna drop a lot more quicker, so you're gonna have to have water with you a lot more often. While if you're going in the cold, you're gonna notice on your screen that the screen actually freezes and you could literally die out in the cold. So you have to keep yourself warm as best as you can with equipment and of course drinks that provide you that. The story itself is actually short and it's not the main thing of this game. This game is a sandbox, so you can do pretty much whatever you want, but you do have a couple of things that are main on the story, especially if you're following the Conan main story. You're gonna meet Conan the Barbarian right from the start. He is pretty recognizable, especially for people who only heard about him. He shows up at the beginning of the game, as I said, and you will have to find out where he is and see all about him. The world itself is quite beautiful and is tailored based on the world of Conan. Probably if you've read the book, it is much more easier to follow along what is going on in that world, but I think it's well structured around the whole story and the lore and the characters and the races that are found over there. So if you're interested to dive deep in those areas, you can definitely do so, but keep in mind that the game, as I've said, is not mainly focused on the story, or at least we haven't found it. The game doesn't hold your hand when it comes to that, and you have to do your exploration by yourself. But if you're still looking for a story and if you have a creative mind, you can definitely create the story however you like. You have the ability to write your own biography, to roleplay with your friends, or if you're going to a roleplay server, you can do that over there. There are so many ways to create an adventure for yourself and just simply get lost in the whole world. Personally, I don't think this game needs a story, but if you're looking for something that is out there, you can definitely do so by checking and following with Conan and seeing where your adventure takes you. Also, your exploration is gonna help you to find bits and pieces about the lore, the world itself, all the things that you want to know about the world of Conan. So yeah, that's pretty much what all the story is. Another aspect that I would like to add is the fact that in the game, right from the start, you are able to choose your avatar god. This plays out to be an important factor of the game, but in the same time, do not worry if you pick or set up one particular avatar of your preference, because you'll be able to choose other gods such as Derketo, Jebel Sag, Mitra, Set, Ymir, Yog, and Zath, as well as Chrome, who is the godless avatar. by choosing this religion right from the beginning, you are able to summon your own avatar in combat, be it PvP or PvE. So that's up to you if you want to go with one of them. But do keep in mind that when you're building your temple and your altars and everything, you are able to discover new temples and worship multiple gods.
Now let us go to the visual presentation of Conan Exile. I do want to mention that if you're playing with your family, like for example with your kids or anybody that is underage, make sure that the nudity section is set to none, because if you put it to partial or full nudity, you will see some amazing stuff there that you don't want your kids or anybody who is underage to see it. Aside from that, when it comes to the environment in the game, I can say that they really did well with all the vistas and other towns, because there are some towns over there that you will be able to visit. The only thing, the main problem that I have over there is the quality life of the characters. You will see some patrols that you see in the town that they are moving, but you don't see them doing something. There are some NPCs over there that they just stand and not doing anything. You don't see them at the specific time of day that they go to sleep, they go and eat, something like that you can say in a quality life aspects for the characters in the game. Also, when it comes to the weather, I do want to mention the maelstrom over there. It's really cool, although I wish the visual, like for example the sandstorm is still far away. I don't really like how it looks like that much, but when you are in the eye of the sandstorm, you will see these cool effects on your screen that you will just feel like, whoa, this is so amazing. But I do wish that they managed to change the whole visual when the sandstorm is far away from your character to make it look much more realistic. And when it comes to the cinematics of the game, the only cinematics that I saw there is right after you create your character, there will be a cinematic there. I can say that it's really, really good. Yeah, there's not much to say with the cinematic because it's only the first time I've seen it, and as you progress in the game, there's really no cinematics that I've encountered so far. And on the other hand, when it comes to the armor of the characters, NPC, there is a mix of combination of medieval futuristic armor, but it doesn't really take away the authenticity of the armors in this game. I can say that it really looks cool, it's very fashionable, but at the same time, you can feel that armor is in that age of time. Visual of every character in the game, including the NPC, enemies, I can say that they really put some time when it comes to their faces, because we are shocked to see that every characters there, they look really beautiful and handsome. And I want to talk about the UI in the game, because I know a lot of you will be very disappointed of the UI, including us, because the UI is really, really big. And I want to let you know that the UI here, you won't be able to resize it to smaller, and the only thing that you can really do is to higher up the FOB of the game, which it does help quite a bit, but not fully help you. It's still gonna frustrate you, like I feel when I'm playing the game. But don't you worry, there is some mods that you can use in the game, and it's supported because you can download it in Steam Workshop. And for me, it's pretty useful. You can customize a lot of things, the health bar, the stamina bar, and you will have a minimap, because in this game you don't have minimap. You basically need to press M and go to the map tab for you to see your character, and it can be really quite annoying doing that every single time when you want to go somewhere and you just want to make sure that you are in the right track. So yeah, that's most basically it in regards about the UI, and we are gonna include it in the description down below if you are curious or you want to use this mod in regards to the UI and the minimap. So that's all about it when it comes to the visual of the game.
When it comes to sounds, I honestly cannot say that there is soundtrack that really resonated with us, but the music itself fits very well the theme of the game. It really feels majestic. In combat, you really feel like you're over there, and honestly, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good soundtrack. If you want to listen to it, you can definitely do so on YouTube. But personally, as I said, I didn't feel like it was something that really resonated with us right from the get-go. The sound of crafting and as well mining and other things sound pretty good in my opinion, and And yeah, there's not much to say regarding that. Nothing that really stood out for us. There's very few lines that Conan the Barbarian is actually sharing in the very first cinematics, and as well when you meet him later down the line. The voice acting is pretty well done, but overall you don't really see that much conversations or any kind of dialogues between other characters that you could say, yep, this is something that really stands out.
Now, there are some things that we really didn't like about the game that we wish that they're gonna fix it, and we wish that they will do something about it. Is that when you are capturing a Thrall, this one is really annoying. Now, when you are capturing the Thrall or enemies, basically you will need a truncheon, you need them to knock them out, and you have to use the binding rope. The binding rope will allow you to capture the Thrall, and you will be able to pull them wherever you go. So, the only problem in this is that once the durability of the binding rope reaches to 0, it will snap out of it, and for some reason, the Thrall that you captured that is on the binding rope will just disappear, or it just got sucked in, and that's really annoying because they just disappear. You won't be able to do anything with it, and you won't be able to use the binding rope and bind them again, and that's really annoying, especially if you are very far away from your base and you manage to find a really good Thrall or workers that is level 3 and they just disappear like that. Your binding rope's durability reached to 0 and just got snapped like that, and the Thrall just went to Honolulu somewhere that you don't even see it anymore. And that will piss off a lot of players, including me. How many times I got so annoyed in this game because of this problem, because from point A to point B, I was in the middle. I am very close to the base, and it happens all the time that I just didn't realize that the binding rope's durability reaches to 0, and that's what happened, and the Thrall just got sucked underground, and that's it. And the only thing that kind of fixed this one is that either you go far away from where you think the Thrall is, you go far away, let the map render for you, and you will just see this Thrall just reappear from where it got left off. But that's not always the case. You won't be able to fix it, but it can happen like 50-50. You will be able to fix this problem.
Another frustrating thing that we noticed and we struggled with was the fact that during combat, if you're fighting multiple enemies, after you cleared up the whole area of enemies and you're trying to pick up items off of corpses and stuff like that, you do get to see enemies just simply vanishing. You're not able to interact with them, or just simply disappear the moment you pressed E and try to get their items. Now, when it comes to controls, we also have a little bit of issue when it comes to coordinating your Thralls. Depending on how many you have, it really doesn't matter, because the control that you coordinate them, it's pretty weirdly made. Basically, you use the E to interact with objects such as picking up items, stuff like that, and sometimes by misclicking you coordinate your Thrall to go and do particular things like attack, move that position, or return. And I find that the mapping needs a little bit of tweaking when it comes to that, because oftentimes the Thralls will not listen to your instructions very well. So you gotta be very careful with that.
One thing that is very disappointing in the game is the optimization part. There are some areas in the game that will make your game lag. Aside from that, I have a video card RTX 370, and for this game, I don't think that this game should lag, especially if I am in the city and you don't really fully enjoy exploring the whole city. It's because of the FPS drop that I'm experiencing, and as well Bazzar is experiencing. I'm not sure if all the city are like this in the game, but I hope not. But in some of the areas where we are, and the city is not really cramped up, it's wider space, and I don't really understand why we are having this issue in the game. And as well, very close to our base, it's just a hill over there, and the FPS drop just went from 60 to 24 FPS. It is really badly optimized, optimized, and I do hope that the developer will be able to optimize this game well, because honestly the game is really good. And all of these things, these minor bugs in the game kinda really ruin some of our experience in the game.
Moving on, we want to talk about the Battle Pass and the Bazzar. This whole feature is not something negative in our opinion. The Battle Pass is quite interesting and offers a variety of items that you can use to create in your base, and as well costumes and pets and other things that you can really make your game much more interesting. It's a cool feature if you're interested in this kind of things, but it's not a necessary thing if you want to enjoy the game. As well, you have the Bazzar where you can buy costumes, items, gear for your pets, and so much more. The only problem that we have with the Bazzar and the whole Game Pass is that really if you're trying to save up money, I think it is quite expensive in some areas, especially in the Bazzar. If you're planning to buy a set of armor and you get a few couple of things, I don't really find justifiable the fact that you have to pay maybe $20 for a set of gear for you and your pet. But if you're interested into having that, of course, it's up to you. And yeah, I don't find that this game offers any kind of pay to win kind of features, so that's a plus from us. And to close it off, I would like to say that this game supports mods, which is one of my favorite parts to do, and probably we're gonna make content about this one in the future if you are interested to know what kind of mods we actually enjoy and what we recommend you guys to try out. Honestly, with mods you can create pretty much whatever you like, the story that you want to make, and wear whatever costumes and create the characters of your dream. So it's up to you what kind of mods you want to have and the story you want to make, and you do that by checking the Steam workshop.
So what we think about the game is absolutely fun. We really had a lot of fun in the game. It's very addictive, and the developer's approach in this game is pretty unique. Although there are some games that you can find out there that there is thirst, hunger, temperature level of your character. I don't know, all I can say that it's really fun, and not to mention that we didn't say in this entire review that your character is able to climb walls just like in Legend of Zelda, which you use your stamina. You can pretty much do anything. Yeah, there are some areas that are limited to you and that you cannot go, but most likely you will really feel that you are playing a sandbox game, that you can do whatever you want. And one thing that I want to mention about the Thralls is that you really get attached to your Thralls, especially when your Thrall died and you spend a lot of time with that Thrall and it just died to a boss. Yeah, you will really feel sad in this game when that happens. But overall, I will say it again, the game is really fun, and I think it really deserves for everyone to try it out. Although, as I've mentioned earlier, the downside is that the developer doesn't really fix the old bugs that this game have, but instead they added more content in the game. In results, there are more bugs in the game, in which I hope the developer will listen to the community and focus on fixing these bugs that we are having. But besides that, what we can say, this game is really worth a try, especially if you are looking to play something as this sandbox survival game, and or you simply want to play with someone, with your friends or with your family, with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend. I can definitely say that you will have a lot of fun in this game. So our score for this game is 7 out of 10, which means it's a good game. If you will ask us if Conan Exile is worth trying or playing this 2023, of course it's worth playing, especially if you're gonna play it with your friends or family, or simply you wanna try out online. I can assure you, you will have a lot of fun despite of all the bugs and glitches or the FPS drop in the game. You don't really have a continuous FPS drop in the game. It's just in some areas, but despite all of that, we can assure you this game is a lot of fun, and it would be higher in our score if the developer will fix all of the issues that the player and us that we are experiencing in the game.
So what do you think about the game? And also, what do you think about our review about Conan Exile? We want to know what do you think in the comment section below. So drop us a comment and let us know what do you think. Are you excited to play this game? Have you been considering it? Have you played it? Share your experience down below. We would be happy to hear from you and as well read all the nice messages and also read all the messages that you leave us. But of course, if you have any kind of negative things, please be respectful in the comments. We know that this game can be quite frustrating for some, especially who have been having this kind of bugs. Not everybody has taken so lightly to the whole experience. Despite the fact that we gave it this score, we honestly had a lot of fun, as Armea said, so we're gonna leave it like that. So that concludes our video. We want to thank you for sticking around with this video. We know it has been a long one. Zira has been extremely helpful at ruining our footage, and we really tried so many times to retake it because she would be flying all over the place on the mic around us, and yeah, cutting her out wasn't easy. So if you want to show your support, we would really appreciate it by subscribing and liking this video and turning on the bell notification to get notified when we post something new, especially Conan Exile, which we plan to make more content because this game has so much to offer and we are very excited to share with you our tips, tricks, mods, and so much more. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. This has been a Tellplay review video. My name is Bazzar, and together with Armea, thank you very much for watching and happy gaming.